I feel like I shouldn't be here. What is this? Part 1. The bush. As I shut the front of my car, I hear a rumbling noise. It was coming from my blackberry bush. I turned around to see why it was making an unusual noise, but nothing was there. I went to investigate further, so I walked up to the dull, bushy mess. I noticed a figure standing near it, wondering who it was, but when I got closer, the figure disappeared. He's a magician! I was in complete confusion, terrified what would happen next. I stumbled towards my doorstep and ran inside my house, but I stopped as I heard footsteps coming from above. Someone or something must be wandering about upstairs. I just see a trail of little pebbles up the stairs. I wander upstairs to investigate, but I slip down the wooden slopes. This is accurate. I would fall down the stairs. I hear it. I need to get out of here. I quickly pick myself up and exclude myself from the scene, but I felt an arm grab me. I try and scream for help, but I realized he injected something into my arm, which caused me to black out. Quickly interrupting this video to bring you the opportunity of a lifetime, kind of. I'm currently accepting submissions of completely anonymous confessions that I will be reacting to in a future video. If you have a weird, funny, or downright criminally insane confession that you would like to share, the link to the Google form will be in the description. Just please make them real confessions, unless you murdered your 54-year-old Uncle Mavis with a John Deere 4.5 liter 4-cylinder diesel tractor in 2007, because I don't know if I can legally post that. Thanks, and on with the video. I wake up in a cold, dull, depressing room with a half-broken light and an empty bookshelf. I discover that I am in the basement of a house. I try to get up, but I realize I'm tied to a chair, unable to even stretch my limbs. I hear lousy footsteps approaching the room I'm in. I'm shivering and quivering. The figure approaches. I see him. He sees me. He walks over to me. As I look up, I realize something. No! The only comment is hot. Danny Devito. Oh god, okay. This will be a beautiful story about a man who met an ogre and how they will spend the rest of their lives together. It brings a tear to my eye. Just one. Chapter 1. The Meeting. There once was a man whose name was Danny Devito. Every woman who saw him instantly fell in love with him.
But he rejected them all.
Danny was sad because he couldn't find his true love and decided to go for a walk in a swamp because he felt like it. That's self-care right there. Sometimes I do that too when I feel lonely, like once a week. When he suddenly saw this big green thing standing there, he was speechless and blown away by his beauty. He wanted to approach the ogre, but he was nervous, so he prepared. 1 year later. He took a year to prepare? Hey, at least we know he's committed. Finally, when he got the courage he needed, he walked up to the man and said, "Hey, mamas." As the ogre turned around looking down at the man, he got flustered and said, This really turned Danny on, so he said, "Let's go back to your swamp, BPG." So they went to Shrek's house, and Shrek was really nervous. It was his first time. After a while, Danny found out he was pregnant! He told Shrek, and Shrek said, "Okay." After a week, Danny gave birth to a very ugly baby boy and named him Jesus. Oh, this is just like another publication of the Bible. Okay. The two decided to build a house on top of the mountain. After 2 years, Shrek got pregnant, and they were so happy. After 3 weeks, so it took Danny 1 week, but Shrek, it took him 3 weeks to give birth. Is there like a difference between humans and ogres in this universe? I don't know why I'm taking this seriously. After 3 weeks, Shrek gave birth to handsome Squidward. They took him home and showed him to Jesus. Jesus didn't like his little brother, so he threw handsome Squidward off the mountain into the Bikini Bottom. Shrek and Danny watched and said, okay. After that, they decided to go buy a dog, which Jesus didn't like very much either. So Jesus threw the dog in the river and it died a horrible death. This is art. Chapter 2. Growing Up. 2 years had passed, meaning Jesus was now 4 years old already. Jesus was getting annoying, so Shrek accidentally drop-kicked Jesus off of the mountain. I didn't know that was how Jesus died. Danny was in so much pain after his son disappeared, so Shrek came up with the idea to make love to Danny, and Danny got pregnant again, this time with twins. 2 days later, Danny gave birth to the twins. Jesus' point of view. Oh, the forgotten son is back to take what's his. Ow, is what I said when my dad drop-kicked me off the mountain. I fell into a lake, which reminded me of my brother. I was sad, so then I decided I would go to the bottom to see if my brother and dog were there. When I reached the bottom, I saw my brother. He was small and sitting on the streets. I walked up to him and picked him up. He was very ugly, so I dropped him and said, "Haha, nerd," he cried. Then I hurried him and lived under the sea for 16 years? What? I think there's a couple plot holes in the story. 16 years later, I am now 20 years old. My brother has gotten even uglier. He worked at some weird restaurant. As I went to visit my brother, a building caught my eye. I can't read, so I couldn't read what the sign said, so I walked up to the door. The door opened and a small green man opened the door, and he said, "Hi." I didn't respond. I don't know why, but I just couldn't say anything. Was I in love? Chapter 3, Next Generation. I've never felt this feeling before. Then suddenly a robot woman came walking in. She also looked very attractive. Now this is the bisexual experience. 7 days later, we were finally done. God damn! And I found out me and Karen were both pregnant. But I didn't like her anymore, so I threw her off a cliff. And she died. 20 years and he never improved his anger issues. There are more efficient ways to solve your problems. After I got my baby named Chad, I found out Plankton cheated on me with Mr. Krabs. With Mr. Krabs? Enemies to lovers? I decided, you don't need men in your life. So I drowned him underwater. He died. I left Chad with my brother because he was ugly. Then I went back up to the surface and go to heaven and never come back. And that was the story of Jesus. The end. The Bible is over. Chapter 4. I missed my sons, so I decided to go and visit them. I threw myself off the mountain and dived into the water like a dolphin. After looking for a while, I found this weird restaurant and went inside. I saw a handsome Squidward standing there. The only thing I could think was, damn, he has gotten ugly. This beautiful red man. He looks so rich and sexy. I walked up to him and said, "What's up, BBG?" If Jesus was dating Plankton, and Plankton cheated on Jesus with Mr. Krabs, and now Danny Devito is looking at Mr. Krabs, there are too many connections and it feels wrong. I knew I still loved Shrek, but damn, Krabs was hot. 5 days later, Shrek also came to Bikini Bottom. I didn't want him to find out my secret, so I didn't tell him. 3 days later, the lie just keeps spiraling out of control. This isn't gonna end well. I had made plans with Mr. Krabs, but as soon as I walked into his office, I saw him and Shrek making out. Gasp. Then we all kissed. I feel that it is only fitting to read Mater X Lightning McQueen, but I kind of wanted to skip to the end. Okay, never mind. We're not skipping to the end anymore. Open the door or I'll throw rocks through your window, you dumb